Hi guys, it's Gran. I'm here to read a bedtime story again, or just a Christmas story. Tomorrow is Santa Lucia Day, so I'm going to give you some time to look that up. But right back here, whoops, there's my little ornament. And do you see she's a little girl carrying a basket with a wreath of candles on her head. So this time of the year, our Christmases seem to be all about light. And the book I'm going to read tonight is this one. I'm going to see how far we can get in it. A Northern Nativity by William Kurlek. And he also did the artwork for it. And it begins, "If it happened here as it happened there, if it happened now as it happened then, who would have seen the miracle? Who would have brought gifts? Who would have taken them in?" So let's take a look at the cover again. You see that little bit of light in there? Interesting. Remember, this book was written a long time ago, so some of the terms in it might not be terms that we use anymore. And they're not meant disrespectfully, they're just terms from then, and they're in the book. Outside, the prairie was covered with snow. Towards 11 o'clock, William ventured out of the warm farmhouse kitchen, up the dark stairway to his cold bedroom. Swiftly he stripped down to his long johns and dived between the icy sheets and pulled the covers over his head. Curled into a ball like a hibernating animal, he breathed and breathed until he felt warm enough under the blanket to relax and stretch out. William enjoyed watching himself fall asleep, going back over the events of the day and seeing them slowly take on new life in his dreams. In school that day, his class had begun rehearsing for the annual Christmas concert. "And heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing," the words of the carol still rang in his head. And at Sunday school that week, the teacher had retold the Christmas story of a Christ child born into a Jewish family almost 2,000 years ago, far away across the sea in a little town called Bethlehem. He was a very special child. That was why, even though he was born in a stable, all kinds of people came to see him. The skies opened and the choirs of angels sang, "Glory to God in the highest, and peace to men of good will." As drowsiness came over William, the nativity story got mixed up with his history and geography lessons, and he had his first Christmas dream. It was about the far north, perhaps because his nose protruded from the bedclothes and breathed the cold, crisp air in the bedroom. Throughout that December, when he was 12 years old, he had these Christmas dreams. A few were long, others were more like pictures that flashed on very briefly. But they all started and ended with the same question. If it happened there, why not here? If it happened then, why not now? The Holy Family as Eskimo. Against a deep black sky, the northern lights played, and the perpetual night of outer space is pricked with the sharp jab of 1,000,000 stars. Fluted snowfields stretch toward the horizon, where hummocky crags of ice have been piled up by the crunch of the tide against the land. In a seal hunter's half-igloo shelter sits a woman and a child. The child is fondling a roly-poly husky puppy. Nearby, a fur-clad man is tending some sleigh dogs. Around his head, a strange light flickers. It also surrounds the faces of the mother and child. A surge of excitement fills William as he recognizes the Holy Family, the simple saintly Joseph, the Virgin Mary, gentlest of mothers, and the infant Jesus, the Son of God himself. William feels an urge to sing in celebration of the scene, but the words of the carol come out jumbled. And Arctic nature sings, and Arctic nature sings. He sees himself asleep at the edge of the dream, and he wants to wake himself up so that he will remember forever the picture and the joy it brought him. You see the dogs in the background? See? Whoa, lights. There we go. The northern lights at the top. Whoops. And the sled dogs. And then the mother and the child. That William sure has a good imagination. The cowboy's Christmas. A big herd of short-horned beef cattle mills around near the winter feeding enclosure. Gray skies drop the first feathery flakes of a second snowfall. Silhouetted against the distant foothills of the Rocky Mountains are 3 cowhands on horseback. A fourth is urging his horse through the herd, trying to get the cows to move in the right direction. William loved to read about cowboys, and now in his dream he finds himself watching them as they go about their work. Suddenly his attention is diverted to his left. A presence seems to shine through the boards of the feeding stall. He kneels to peek through a knothole. There they are, the mother and child, alone amongst the bales of hay, and strange waves of light circle their heads. His heart skips in anticipation. Would his cowboy heroes visit the child as the shepherds had in Bethlehem? And would the cowboys invite them into the warmth of the bunkhouse? These men know what it's like to be out in the cold. He sees them huddled in their sheepskin coats, more anxious than usual to complete the roundup. They are looking forward to the cheer of a big Christmas party with plenty of food and drinks. He picks up courage and tries calling over to the men on horseback to come and see what he sees. They pay no attention to him whatever. Are they too tough, too hard to share his vision? Or is his voice too weak to be heard above the bawling herd? Look at that William peeking. He sees them, and way across all the cows, here's one, and here's the 3. And here in the quiet is the baby. And William is peeking. What does he dream next? The Rod Rider's Christmas. William saw himself in this dream as Bill, the young man he wanted to be when he was old enough to do as he pleased. But this Bill is bent over and dejected like an old man. It is a wrong time to be young, ambitious, and full of hope. Beyond the railway tracks is this big city at the edge of the prairie, and it stands full of sheds and silos, many of them dark and closed. Bill is one of the unemployed, swarming out of boxcars, begging lodging and food, looking cold and discouraged. Some day, his teacher had said while explaining the depression to William's class, you may taste despair, and then you will know how much kindness can mean. Bill, in the dream, knocked at several houses along the track, trying to get shelter. At the last door, the lady who turns him away mutters, "Lazy bum." Across the track, he crosses to try the other side, boiling with anger. "I am not lazy. Ukrainians have always worked hard." And then he remembers, tonight is January the 6th, the Ukrainian Christmas Eve. This is Bill's first Christmas away from home, family, and the holy feast of 12 dishes. He feels as low as he ever imagined possible. Just then he hears singing, and it is in Ukrainian. Bo Prevechny, God Eternal, was a carol sung by children going from house to house in the old country. But these are strong men voices, coming from another line of boxcars. He loses no time scrambling over and introducing himself. It is a section foreman and his gang in the work car. Prush, Vitamnio, spend the night in one of our bunks. The offer is made and gladly accepted. As Bill settles in, he wonders if he should tell them something he had just seen. At that very moment, he heard them singing. He was passing an open boxcar. A lantern had suddenly lit up the inside, and he saw Mary wrapping the child in a blanket on some packing straw while Joseph looked on protectively. Bill hadn't stopped, though. Somehow he felt the vision was a sign to go on to the kindness he was to receive from these working men, and it was more. It was a happiness to treasure in his heart during these hard times. Yet perhaps the working men would have believed, for they shared with him the traditional Christmas fare from their box lunches. See the box car? That's a train car where they load things, and inside William saw Joseph and Mary and the baby. This Bill has good dreams. The Holy Family as Indian. In school that day, they learned a carol written by an early missionary for the Huron Indians in their own language. William knew it only in English. It was in the moon of winter time, when all the birds had fled, that mighty Gitche-Manitou sent angel choirs instead. Before their lights the stars grew dim, and wandering hunters heard the hymn. Jesus, your King is born. Jesus Ahatonai. It was running through his head that night as a picture began to appear of an Indian trapper's hut in a northern spruce forest. Outside, a man is stretching and scraping a skin. A little girl on snowshoes stares curiously at the Holy Family as they approach the door of her home to ask for shelter. William doubts that these people will accept the child. Many cruel things have been done to Native people by men who had his name on their lips, but not in their hearts. Will that be forgiven now? Hi, boys. Hi, friends. Then William realizes there's nothing to give, for the Holy Family standing at the door are Indians just as the family inside. Jesus Ahatonai. Jesus Ahatonai. Jesus Ahatonai. The child's name fits beautifully in any language, for he comes as a light to all the nations. Here's the picture. This is an indigenous family here, and the Holy Family is coming to them. You see the little girl on snowshoes, and her dad was out chopping wood? The next story is A Truck Driver's Charity. This William, wow. In this dream was set in a mining town. William knew that from the piles of dark slag and the gray mining shaft shed. Did several pictures of mining towns come together, William wondered, for mining and smelting aren't always done together. Along the road in front of the chain-link fence, the snow was dirty from the smelter's chimney. In the foreground, a battered old car has broken down and a man is under the hood trying to fix it. Nobody knows what that's like, hey? Anyway, in this story, there is a special light playing about him and about the mother and child in the car. A truck rolls by. William does not expect it to stop and is surprised when it pulls up a few yards down the road. The driver gets out and, carrying his toolkit, walks back towards Joseph. Did he realize who he was helping? William wondered on waking. Perhaps it didn't matter. Would not the child one day proclaim, "Believe in me, when you did it to one of the least of my brethren, you did it to me"? If the driver helps everyone in trouble, wasn't he helping the Holy One every time? Do you see? They're having some car trouble there by the mine. And that man with his handy toolbox and his hard hat and this big truck has stopped, and he's going to come and help them. Do you see the mother and the tiny baby? Whoa, there we go. And see the glow? Oh, I think we'll do a couple more. In the mountains. Oh. This dream found William in high mountain country, breathtaking in awesome and its majesty. Below him, evergreens rise tall out of the sunlit snow, and far beyond, the peaks of another much more massive range shine against a cloudless blue sky. To his surprise, words come to William to explain the beauty he sees. Only a creator who is beautiful itself can create beauty. Only those who are made in his image can appreciate that beauty. William finds himself searching the landscape not for rocks, trees, eagles, or mountain goats, or even moose. I guess that's me. But for people with whom to share his appreciation. Dreams have a way of fulfilling the dreamer's fears or wishes. But soon he sees skiers enjoying their Christmas vacation on the snowy slopes. But just as he decides to approach them, he notices Mary and the child. They are riding a pack horse, led by Joseph, over the difficult trail. They are obviously heading for the ski chalet, which nestles luxuriously into the valley to the right. Will they be welcomed if they do not come as skiers? William woke up wondering what the chalet operator was going to say to the family, and would he himself have recognized them if he had been one of the skiers? Do you think anybody sees them coming? See all the skiers on the shiny mountain? Isn't that pretty? And there's the big ski chalet. Here's a whole bunch of people. And here come Mary and Joseph. And that little glowing person with them. Oh, 2 barns. Mary and the child are resting in the mountains in the straw of an abandoned barn. Through the open side of the barn, traffic can be seen speeding by on a new highway. Some cars pull in at a neighboring barn that has been turned into an antique shop. The shoppers are searching for beauty from the past to give their lives interest, yet none thinks of looking up to the other old barn. None seems aware of the very source of beauty so close by. William feels moved to intrude into the scene. He walks quietly so as not to disturb the mother kneeling in adoration before her babe. On the old timbers where the children and the tourists have carved their initials, he uses his jackknife to carve the words of a saint of old. Late have I loved you, O ancient beauty, ever old and ever new. See the new road? The new road, and the people have stopped at this barn to look for fun things, but they don't look over here, and they miss out on the baby and the mother. Hello, hello. And I think that that's where we're going to stop today. We'll read the next part tomorrow. The next one is about a farm family. I hope you guys have a good evening. It's nice to see you here. So tomorrow again is Santa Lucia Day. So you can look up about it. Here's the oldest daughter, and she's carrying special coffee and buns to her parents. And each town in the far north where it's dark, they have a Santa Lucia. I hope you guys have a really good evening and love you lots. It's nice to see you, Jacob and Elijah and everybody else. Take care. Bye-bye.